everybody. I'm Lauren Simonetti. Happy Monday, happy Veterans Day, and thank you so much for joining us today. All right, we are being joined right now by the founder of BGR, the burger joint. Mark, are you there?
Hi.
Hey, Mark, thanks for decorating our set and feeding us for lunch once we're done with this segment. We have a 9-pound burger here in front of me. People
That's
actually
our Fiscal
order
Cliff
that.
burger.
I can't wait to get into all the specifics with you. But, Mark, just say your last name for me because I don't want to butcher it.
Bucher.
Bucher. Okay. Thank you. Welcome. All right, so tell me a little bit about your company and how it stands out from other burger joints out there.
You know, everyone says they've got the best food in the world. I haven't met a chef yet that hasn't told me their food isn't the best. We have really great food. It's fun. It tastes great. Our restaurants are fun. We're very geared towards music, actually what I would call the 80s lifestyle. The food is great. We use prime dry-aged beef, so we use the highest quality available that we can get. And we do great milkshakes. We have beer and wine. It's a fun place for the family, and it's where parents can bring their kids and identify with record albums on the wall of records they used to have, or even songs they hear on the playlist in the restaurant, like the Brady Bunch theme song.
Right.
It's fun. It's fun for everybody.
So you have a cool image, you've got a theme, and where are you located? I haven't seen any in this area. Is that correct?
We have got 21 across the country right now. The closest to New York, we've got one in Yonkers at Cross County Shopping Center, and we've got one right on the main drag in Mount Kisco. Our highest concentration of stores is in the D.C. metro area, but we've got stores as far west as San Diego. Okay,
so when did you form the company, and what made you decide to do it?
Well, you know, I actually, way back before BGR, I was a VP of food and beverage out for a bunch of Las Vegas casinos. And one morning we were having a meeting, and it just came up as to what was the biggest burger anyone's ever eaten in one sitting. And back in that day, it was 7.7 pounds. And I said, let's do 9. And how are we going to make a 9-pound burger? And we figured it out.
Okay, how?
Well, we had the bun made in a big 20-inch deep dish pizza pan.
Okay.
And we take that burger and we bake it in an oven almost like a meatloaf because it's just too big to put on a grill.
Yeah.
And, you know, all said and done, that baby probably weighs 20, 25 pounds. Then we said, if anyone can finish it in one sitting, it's free.
No way.
And out in Las Vegas, people love that challenge. So people were lining up for this burger. We had one of the tryouts one year for American Idol out there in Vegas line up and try to do this. No one could do it. We did have a professional eating contest out there, and a gal from actually Arlington, Virginia, finished it in 42 minutes. Never to be replicated again.
Wait, did you say a gal?
Yeah.
A lady finished this 9-pound burger in 42 minutes?
A teeny lady finished it.
We need to bring her on the show.
Teeny. She finished it, and we had to make a comparable burger to go with that burger. It was so popular. So I developed a smaller version of what I call the iconic burger, where it's fond of childhood memories, the kind of burger that you remember eating growing up. You know, when it's about 85 degrees outside, you got a little sand in your feet, and someone's grilling or barbecuing in the backyard. So we char grill it. It's fresh, never frozen. The buns are really soft. The burgers are cooked to temperature, so people can get a medium rare burger or a medium well burger or a well done burger or a rare burger.
Right, and when we say medium rare, you really make it medium rare.
Right, exactly.
That's my pet peeve.
When if you're going to do a burger, you got to do it right.
Yeah.
And you know, I would challenge any burger guy out there selling burgers where you can't cook the temperature. You got to wonder why. Is it for speed? Is it because they can't cook their beef that raw? I don't know. We're high quality, and we don't focus on transactions about how many people we can move through our restaurant. We focus on giving a great burger out to everyone who walks in. And
you also are a gourmet shop, right? So the toppings, how does that work? Do you have like standard burgers on a menu, or can you walk up to, let's say, like the way a salad bar would look and customize it that way?
We've got it set up a bunch of different ways, so there's something for everybody. So believe it or not, my wife's a vegetarian. So we've got a vegetarian burger on the menu. We have got an ahi tuna burger on the menu. We have got a lamb burger on the menu that really tastes like a gyro with feta cheese and tzatziki sauce. You can customize your burger, lettuce, tomato, bacon, grilled onions, all that kind of great stuff. We've got a secret sauce that we call Mojo, that I can't tell you what it is. But if you guess what it is, I'll tell you. And we have our famous burger, the one that wins all the competitions across the country, is our Wellington burger, which is a really decadent, roasted mushroom and roasted onion and caramelized beautifully on top of the burger, and it's rich and it's decadent. It's got some rosemary and thyme in it. It's perfect for fall. And we just won third burger in the world last week at the World Burger Championships.
Congratulations. And I can tell
Thanks.
you're passionate about it. It's just coming out of you.
Burgers are my life.
Mark, where do you see yourself a couple years from now? Let's say 5 years down the road.
It's funny. When you start a company and you do really well, you get the fever to do more really fast.
Right.
And we're actually anti-chain. I'm resisting that temptation to go chain-like. There's lots of people with lots of money that want to invest in emerging brands and emerging concepts that do really well. We're very fiscally responsible and financially responsible for our operations and our people, and we do very well. However, I have no desire to become the next big chain restaurant out there. So we'll go slow and methodical. A lot of this business is geared towards great real estate.
Yep.
There isn't a whole lot of great real estate available today.
Good point.
Real estate hasn't really come out of the ground in the last 2 to 3 years. So instead of people fighting for the C sites right now, we're waiting until 2013, 2014 for a lot of this new development to come up where there will be BGRs in the prime positions in those new developments.
I like it. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us your story and giving us some lunch. And this 9-pound burger awaits me. Your website, bgrtheburgerjoint.com, is on our screen, and our chatters are writing in. Chris Service 1 says, 9-pound burgers, why? Unless it is to take the place of the turkey. I could have a burger on Thanksgiving. Can't be that anti-American, right?
Our burger of the month this month is a Thanksgiving burger.
Oh, okay. All right, cool. And J.D. LaPont says, sounds like the old malt shops, and I think that is the point. All right, thank you so much. We're going out now to Rich Edson joining us from the same neck of the woods in D.C. Hey, Rich, have you ever had a BGR burger?
I have had a BGR burger,
yeah?
and I will say, I think a burger is pretty much American on any holiday. I mean, you can up the Americanism of any holiday by adding a hamburger. No?
We're on the same page. I'll do it. I'm not a big turkey fan, so this works for me.
There you go.
So what's the latest here? The words sound the same regarding the fiscal cliff and who they should raise taxes for, and I don't know. What's the latest with the fiscal cliff and taxing the wealthy?
Right. Well, you're beginning to see a bit of a pathway. Republicans who had been saying for years in Washington no to any type of tax increase now are saying no to any type of tax rate increase. And that leaves a whole slew of tax provisions. Think deductions here, Lauren, of what could increase at some point as part of any type of deal, especially on those earning more than $250,000 a year, or at least on upper income. So right now we're at a very opening position of negotiations. Democratic and Republican leaders will go to the White House on Friday, to meet face-to-face with President Obama for the first time since the election. And basically you've got Democrats still saying, look, we want tax rates to increase on families earning more than $250,000 a year, the expiration of the Bush tax cuts coming in the beginning of January. Republicans are saying no to that. They're saying we'll talk tax loopholes, tax deductions, but income they're saying no to. So, right now there is enough room. Neither side's really boxing the other side in. They're not boxing themselves in. They're just at the beginning of these talks. They all know how you can get to a deal. All the provisions have been on the table through all the committees and commissions and super committees that have been out there. We've gone over this ground, Democrats and Republicans. They know it's available to them, but now after the election, it's time to sit down and do some deal making, and that process begins Friday.
Rich, is it that crazy to just say, okay, this is the Republicans saying, why don't you raise the tax rates on Americans making more than, let's say, $350,000 a year? Can that be like something simple like that, $100,000, a happy medium?
Well, you've already got Democrats like Chuck Schumer of New York, Senator, who has an awful number of people earning $250,000 a year in his state, in your city, and who has come out in favor of $1 million being the point at which you decide to raise tax rates or allow tax rates to increase. Other Democrats have floated that as well. Republicans have still said no to a tax rate increase, but it's amazing when you look at, first of all, what our budget problems are, and you look at how much money raising tax rates on $1 million or above, or even $250,000 and above are going to get you. It's really, this is about a political win. The president won re-election. The Senate was held by Democrats despite the fact that they had 23 seats to defend. And so they're going to want something politically for that. They've been beating the drum on higher taxes for wealthier people. Rates alone aren't going to fix the budget. Not even rates and loopholes are going to fix the budget. But you know, when they get down into it, it's where specifically that's going to fall. Also, Republicans want to bring entitlements in this. They want a grand bargain in which you begin to control Medicare and Medicaid. That's something Republicans or Democrats really haven't spoken all that much about. And when you've heard what Democrats have been willing to do on entitlement, it's basically been provider cuts. In other words, the government will pay a company or a service less to perform the same service. There wouldn't be any benefit cuts.
Gotcha. Okay, and Standard & Poor's says there's a 15% chance that the U.S. falls off the fiscal cliff. Is that what you're hearing? How big is the chance that we don't get anything done to fix this?
You know, it's still pretty early to tell, and the problem with Washington is that you're so early in the process, neither side is really tipping its hand as to where this could go. I think even Democrats acknowledge that Republicans' language towards this is very encouraging from their point of view, that they are unprompted talking about revenues, talking about closing tax loopholes and deductions for wealthier Americans as part of any deal. That's something that they really wouldn't discuss before the election. Now, there was, of course, the negotiations with House Speaker John Boehner and the president that happened in July of 2011. The overall number is something they walked away from, but Republicans in that had a willingness to do the same if Democrats were willing to touch their third rail in entitlements. So it's still very, very early. Neither side is sort of willing to start the real deal making yet. It's the posturing, it's the language. Early indications are good that they can at least avoid the fiscal cliff, maybe not for a grand bargain, but there's a number of different ways you can do this. You can do some sort of down payment where you get something small, push off the fiscal cliff for a few months, get through the holidays, get through the inauguration, then get some larger grand budget and tax deal in place next year. But right now, they got a meeting on Friday, and that's when they'll talk.
Rich Edson, thank you so much. We have some chatters weighing in on this, but we'll get to them right after this break, and we will be right back. Thanks for watching today. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Lauren Simonetti. Thank you for joining us on Rich Edson's segment just about 30 seconds ago. J.D. LaPointe is writing in, you're not optimistic at all. You say this will go on till December 14th or so, and everything will be jammed into the final bill. Democrats can't afford to let the economy crash, so they will cave. We will see. Somebody's got to cave. Got to agree on something, man. This is getting ugly. Okay, that takes us to Liz McDonald with Fox Business Network. You're in Belle Harbor, checking out the power situation for the residents there. Hey, Liz.
Hey, that's right, Lauren. We're at St. Francis de Sales Church. It's in the heart of Belle Harbor, and this is a community that was hit very hard by Hurricane Sandy and the nor'easter. You can see right here, people have been dropping off clothes, dropping off food, dropping off provisions. What happened here, Lauren, is that basically this is a peninsula that sits between the ocean and the bay, and a 7-foot wave came up out of the ocean, went up the block, and met the bay. So this is also a community of first responders, Lauren. A lot of firemen and cops who worked on 9/11. A number of people passed away from 9/11, and it just so happens we are on the anniversary of that jumbo jet that crashed in about 2 months after 9/11. So this is an anniversary of that terrible event too. So this is a community that's been hit really hard, Lauren, and now we're hearing the Long Island Power Authority may not have power on to a number of homes until after Thanksgiving. They got to get the engineers into the homes to check the electrical boxes so that electricity doesn't come out and basically cause another fire to burn these homes to the ground. But with me now, Lauren, is Monsignor John Brown. He runs St. Francis de Sales, and I want to talk to him a little bit about what he's seen. Monsignor, what's your reaction to what you've seen with Hurricane Sandy and the nor'easter?
Obviously, it's a horrible storm that people didn't expect. One of the problems down here is they've lived through many storms, and so there's kind of a natural apathy that has grown. It's because everybody feels you can ride it out, and this one you couldn't ride out. This one was a bad one. So my reaction, the destruction is incredible, but I'm not surprised at the goodness of people. Everything we have here in the center that we started from the ground up. This started with maybe 5 individual young girls in the 20s, young women in their 20s. They basically came to me, said, we have bags of clothes, let's start a center. It went from the small chapel to the large room to what you see today. And it's a community built on, system built on a community right from the beginning. It wasn't government, it was a community. Catholic Charities, Brooklyn has been great. They came in right away. They helped us get set up. We've had different organizations come in afterwards. Red Cross has been helping us. Gail McGovern, who runs the Red Cross, has been very good to us. The FEMA's working with us. OEM is working hard with us. The mayor's office, they have a representative here every day, so they're working hard. Everything's coming together, and everybody's helping.
So, Monsignor, what we're seeing here, too, is a FEMA warming center because, right. Lauren, even though it's a warm day today, it's going to get very chilly and very damp pretty soon, and that just compounds the problem for a number of families in the Monsignor's parish. And what we're going to be talking to right now is a gentleman by the name of Edward, Lauren, and he has been evacuated out of his home that was sat on the bay. Here's Edward right now, Lauren. Edward, what is your experience?
It's traumatic experience. It's very bad for everybody over here.
Where are you now?
In Beach 84th Street.
All right, so where are you living, though? Did you evacuate to a shelter?
I took my kids to the shelter in Queens College.
And what's that experience been like for you?
It's rough in there. Everybody fighting over all the items in there. They stole my underwear. It's crazy in there.
Yeah.
They even stole my kids' shoes I bought from Macy's.
And what are they feeding them? What's the food been like?
Oh, pizza and candy. That's what they've been feeding them. And then I bought them 10 gallons of milk with some chicken and stuff to feed the kids and stuff like that.
Our thoughts are going to be with you, and we're going to be here throughout the day. We want to continue to talk to you throughout the day, Lauren. So as you can see, Lauren, this is a pretty tough situation. Again, a community of first responders, firemen, and cops. And as the Monsignor just pointed out, it's a grassroots organization, FEMA, and we had the Red Cross coming in a number of days after it. But now the priority is to get the electricity and the power back on, because a lot of people are taking debris out of the streets, putting them in their fireplaces for heat, or they're heating themselves by their gas stoves. So, this is a pretty tough situation, but they're a community, not of just survivors, but of we can doism. They want to show the world that they can do it, that they are going to come back. I'll tell you something, another story I want to tell you, Lauren, quickly. We did have that story of the fireman who strapped his 3 kids to his back to rescue them on the night of Hurricane Sandy, went back to get his in-laws and his wife, and then a 90-year-old. And that night, you saw a lot of people using surfboards, using rubber life rafts or rafts, using styrofoam rafts, using jet skis to get out of their houses. So now we have the good Monsignor. We're going to give a little shout out to him. Monsignor, so good to be with you today, sir.
Thank you so much.
Lauren, we're going to be doing live updates throughout the day with the Monsignor. Can you give a final word to the viewer out there, Monsignor?
We need volunteers to help us. We're a community of love and community of faith. The church has done a wonderful job here. We know deep down we're going to get through this together. We'll rebuild and come back, but we do need help.
Okay. Thank you, Monsignor. Going to give it back to you, Lauren.
Liz, thank you so much, and thanks for all of your work.
Sure.
Donating and giving your time to people affected by this.
Sure.
And that's something that we should point out, that, Sandy was a devastating event for so many people, and there are terrible issues like the man that Liz spoke to. They're in the shelters and they're getting things stolen and they're not eating right, but it just shows you that humanitarianism is alive and people are doing so much to help out. It really is very nice to see. And it is Veterans Day, and we're joined by a veteran here in the flesh, Lee Escobar. You call yourself a vetrapreneur.
Yes.
And you can explain what that is for us.
Well, veterpreneurs, those of us who are military members who have taken our skills and our core values from the military and actually applied them into businesses.
Right.
So, vetrepreneur.
And you have many businesses up your sleeve, right? A lot of real estate deals, restaurants. Describe your experience for the viewer.
Well, one of the biggest things is I've always learned from the time I was growing up that I could always do better and have more. And I had a mother who was actually went into the Army as a private and then ended up retiring as a major. And I seen the struggles that she went through in the military and how it was very the struggle she went through taking care of her family. And I remember growing up, I wanted a sense of safety. And so, of course, the military was one of the avenues that I would go into. And that would give me a safety for financial safety. And then as I was going through the military and going through my my officer basic course, I realized that I had problems with my shins and my knees, and I really couldn't pass the PT test like I needed to be competitive in the active duty world. So I went into the reserves. And I was able to apply what I learned in the reserves into my business world and into my businesses to achieve where I am today.
And what was that you found?
Well, one of the biggest things is we're taught leadership. I mean, that's very important. And really, our skills in the military are really entrepreneurial skills. In the military, every military service have what are called core values, like leadership, loyalty, and excellence. And all of those are actually entrepreneurial values. But the biggest problem that we're having is when a military member gets out of the military, they're only given a couple choices. What is it? Go to school, or go get a job, and the end result is getting a job, but they're never given the choice to become a vetrepreneur.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that a little bit more with you. A lot of companies, you say, are kind of a little prejudiced towards people who served because they feel they might have some psychological problems, or maybe they don't want to hire them because they'll have to be deployed again. So there is some prejudices that you're seeing in the workplace.
Yeah, absolutely. They right now, I've read the other day about there's certain employers that when they see an application from someone who's in the military or have previous military experience, they'll put it at the bottom of the pile, either because their skills they feel like their skills don't translate into the business world, or because they're worried about PTSD.
Yeah.
And I've seen also landlords who are saying they don't want to put our veterans inside properties because of PTSD.
Explain PTSD and how worried we really should be about it from your perspective. You're there all the time.
As an Army chaplain, I've been able to counsel a lot of soldiers and be there for them and take care of them. And I think we're making something bigger than what it really is.
Okay.
There's a lot of psychological issues that are taking place because of them having PTSD. However, there is a way to curb it. And the way to curb it is giving them a sense of purpose. And really, when you're in the military, you have this sense of purpose every day. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you're living in a state of creativity. And then when you get out into the civilian world, that creativity goes from really high to like, what's next? And so we give our military members a sense of purpose, and we give our military members that confidence that it really is able to be manageable. And that's one thing I do in my book, Rich Soldier, is I'm really pushing to our veterans or to our military service members, and really anyone who's in the battle for financial freedom.
Use your skills.
Use your skills. Be aware that you can be there.
You gave me, facetiously, this undocumented medal, right? Can you, I don't know if Lori can get a close shot on this, but can you explain exactly what this is?
Well, actually, in the military, we have a tradition in every service. There's a tradition of giving out coins for special achievements or to boost morale.
Right.
So I gave you that coin this weekend on behalf of our military members and to tell you thank you. It's a flag and a pile of cash representing both of our freedoms. The flag freedom gives us the opportunity to choose our financial freedom.
Right,
and our
it's a
financial
flag
choices.
on top of a pile of money.
Right.
And if we can pull up a full screen, we can see the steps to developing a rich soldier would be. Evolve is one of them, and it's written right here on the back as well.
That's
what does
correct.
evolve mean?
Evolve means this: the rules of money have changed, the rules of retirement have changed, the rules moving from the service world into the civilian world has changed. So the first thing is you have to be aware that there is a change.
Yep.
And then once you're aware of that, then that gives you the opportunity and the ability to start searching for another avenue to start making that change.
Yeah, and then you educate yourself, and you
Educate
finally
yourself.
execute it in the end.
That's it. You have to educate yourself on what you don't know. I am where I am today because of mentors, because of education, and because of people investing themselves into me. We don't know what we don't know. Then once you learn it, put it into action, execute like we're taught in the military.
And, you know, just to bring up some stats right now, there's more than 67,000 homeless veterans here in the United States. Your thoughts on that?
Here's my thoughts. We have the most powerful, skilled, and trained military in the world.
Yes.
And when we can take those skills,
and workforce.
Yes, and when we can take those skills that are in the military world and translate them into the business world and to becoming entrepreneurs and business owners, you can have and they can have the most successful businesses in the world also. They have what it takes to have that.
And you take all of this on in your book, Rich Soldier, Mission Financial Freedom.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for your service. I know you don't like when people say that to you, but we do thank you. Thanks for the coin.
It's my pleasure.
Evaluate, evolve, educate, and execute. Your website is just on our screen.
Wonderful.
Lee Escobar, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Enjoy your time in New York. I know you're
Love
from
it.
Tennessee.
Yes, I love New York.
Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. I'm Lauren Simonetti. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. Hopefully you have off. And we'll see you back here tomorrow for Career Accelerator Day. We'll be back.
I talked to Dave Petraeus twice on Friday, and he said to me, you know, I've done an egregiously dishonorable thing, and I need now to do the honorable thing. And when I thought about it, and for me, it's a heartbreak. I mean, I'm very, this is a truly bright man, a credible person, a great leader, and could have really been a super transitional figure for the CIA. This is very, very hard, and I do think he did the right thing.
And that is Dianne Feinstein, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, who initially said that she regretted President Obama accepting David Petraeus' resignation as head of the CIA, and then yesterday on Fox News Sunday, explaining now her thinking after speaking with Petraeus herself. This is Power Play Live. I'm Mike Emanuel, sitting in for Chris Stirewalt, who, after a grueling election season, gets a well-deserved day off, and I'm thrilled to be here, joined with the legendary Michael Barone. And Mr. Barone, in your almost 40 years here in Washington, where do you rank the Petraeus scandal so far?
Well, I rank it. I rank it. You know, could this be another Watergate? I don't think it could be quite another Watergate, but there are some very disturbing questions here. I don't feel confident I know the answers at all, and I hope the answers are a lot less disturbing than the questions. But, you know, evidently we are told that General Petraeus, CIA director, testified in closed session to members of Congress on September 14th, 3 days after the Benghazi attacks, and characterized them as arising out of a spontaneous protest against an anti-Muslim video. And that's what Ambassador Susan Rice said on the 5 Sunday shows on September 16th. We have independent evidence from State Department and CIA sources that those sources did not believe that to be the case on September 14th or September 16th. And so the question is, why did General Petraeus give that testimony? Did he give that testimony? Why did he do so, if so, and on what basis?
So we know he's not going to testify on the Hill this week. At some point, presumably, he may come in on his own free will, or maybe subpoenaed to testify.
Well,
about
Congress has subpoena power, sure. And it sounds like the Republicans control the House of Representatives. They can get a subpoena power with Mike Rogers, the chairman of the Intelligence Committee, and Senator Dianne Feinstein sounds like she may very well want to hear from General Petraeus on some of these matters as well. So it may very well be, remember Watergate, there were Republicans as well as Democrats who joined in as critics or questioners of President Nixon and his aides.
Lots of timing questions in terms of why did it come out at this point? Or when you get around an election, people get crazy saying, well, is the timing a little fishy that magically the Friday after the election he resigns? There's also, I suppose, a question of the timing in terms of the world we live in. We've got the Iran threat out there. It's probably a terrible time for this leadership vacuum at the top of our Central Intelligence Agency.
Well, newspaper accounts have it that General Petraeus was aware of this investigation and of the FBI discovery, quote, months before his resignation. So that would date it before the September 11th attacks on Benghazi, for example. Did he have a duty or responsibility to bring it to the president's attention and take action at that point? That's a question that some people may want to ask. And, there are a lot more questions here than answers. There are a lot of disturbing questions, and there may be some disturbing answers.
The unfortunate thing we see is people in public life, some of them fall at times. The fall of General David Petraeus, who really was an American hero and a rock star, and obviously the Obama White House was worried about the possibility that he could be the Republican nominee in 2012. Obviously that did not happen. But in terms of a falling star or somebody who's fallen from prominence, how do you rank this one?
Well, I rank it pretty high. I mean, basically, I've been an admirer of General Petraeus, never met him, never talked to him. my knowledge. I felt sick to my stomach when I heard the news. And I think very many Americans of all political persuasions felt that way as well.
Absolutely, and I will say I have met General Petraeus, and when I heard that he resigned Friday, I thought, okay, he's just exhausted from his tours of Iraq and Afghanistan and now leading the CIA, and obviously was upset to hear the news. So where does the Obama administration go? Because we do live in a dangerous world, Michael Barone. So do you go with a known quantity inside the agency, Michael Morrell perhaps, or is there somebody like a Joe Lieberman or whatever who's leaving the United States Senate who might be the next CIA director?
I don't think they see Joe Lieberman as their kind of guy on foreign policy. I think it's more likely that you try to you get somebody from the agency whom the public doesn't have a great reputation positively or negatively with the general public, but will be elicit comments of respect on his appointment. That would be my guess. But I think that the president and his aides are going to be asked some uncomfortable questions about this, and there's some disturbing questions out there, and they'd better prepare to answer them.
We know coming off the campaign, the President of the United States is scheduled to do a news conference Wednesday, so you can bet there's going to be questions about Petraeus. When did the President know about this situation? What did he know? And it certainly sounded like it was kind of late in getting to him, but...
Well, White House spokesmen have said he learned about it Wednesday, the day after the election. The Director of National Intelligence, James Clapper, heard about it on the day of the election at 5 p.m., just before polls started to close in Indiana and Kentucky. Did the FBI director have a duty to bring this to the attention of other people? Did he have a duty to bring it to the attention of the Attorney General? These are questions to which I don't have ready answers, but I think they're questions that will occur to a great many people.
Obviously, this show's on the internet. You know that. We know that. And we are looking at your chats here. J.D. LaPointe says Petraeus bowed out to run for president in 2016. I think his future in that regard is cooked.
No future in elective politics.
Canyon One read this as, to quote a professional news service, General Petraeus, who knew what and when, and to add to that, why didn't we try to save those Americans? Clearly referring to Benghazi. Alyssa Kay says Petraeus hasn't done the right thing at all. He should be telling the American people what he knows about the terrorist attack, the truth, and all of it. So obviously, from our viewers, a lot of concern about Benghazi, which...
Yeah, well, my question is, did he mislead the members of the intelligence committees, the members of Congress whom he briefed 3 days after the attack? And if so, why?
And where does the Benghazi investigation go? And I suppose when will he decide to come forward? He's obviously got to patch some things up in his personal life right now. And
well, he's going to, the Benghazi investigation. I mean, the House Foreign Affairs Committee, the investigative committee headed by Darrell Issa and the subcommittee headed by Jason Chaffetz are going to be asking a lot of questions about this, and the Intelligence Committee.
Okay, finally, before we let you go, you've had about a week since the election. What are your reflections now?
My reflections is that at the top of the ticket, this election looked more like 2008 than I and many people expected it to look like. It was, a narrower win for the president than 2008, but many of the contours there. As you go down the ballot, the Republicans do better and better. Lousy in the Senate races. They lost 2 seats, totally unforced errors by weak candidates. But they had very minimal losses in the U.S. House of Representatives. They looked to be in as strong a shape as they were in that 12 years from 94 to 06 when they controlled the House. And in state legislatures, when you compare where state legislatures were going into the 2010 elections, mostly as a result of elections held in 2008, where Democrats held, I think 53% of the state Senate seats, 56% of the state House seats. Now it's Republicans in the majority. The president conspicuously did not raise money for congressional candidates. He did 200-plus fundraisers for himself. But he, and so this has not been a presidency that is as good for his party as at this point in George W. Bush's career. His presidency was good for his party, which had majorities in both houses of Congress and had made gains in the legislatures.
Michael Barone, Washington Examiner, thanks for your time. You can read Michael's latest writing on the internet. Barone, Obama wins by going negative and turning out base. Check him out. We'll be right back looking at the GOP loss and where we go from here. Please stay with us.
Whether I earned your vote or not, I have listened to you. I have learned from you. And you've made me a better president. And with your stories and your struggles, I return to the White House more determined and more inspired than ever about the work there is to do and the future that lies ahead.
That, of course, President Obama is celebrating re-election after a hard-fought, bruising campaign. I'm Mike Emanuel sitting in for Chris Stirewalt, who gets a well-deserved breather after this election season. Joining me in studio to duke it out, although, no, they're friendly. Anyway, Matt Schlapp, former White House political director under President George W. Bush, and Chuck Rocha, president of Solidarity Strategy and director of the Latino Project PAC. I wanted to make sure I got that right.
Thank you, sir.
Gentlemen, almost a week after the election, what happened? Matt, what went wrong with the GOP?
Wow, that's a long conversation. Let's try to make it short, right? First thing is demographically, with Chuck here, I'm sure he's going to agree with me too readily, which is it doesn't get you too far to realize that the coalition that was put together in 2004 by President Bush with a real appeal towards non-white voters. My wife sometimes chastises me for using that term, but for Asian Americans, African Americans, Hispanics, our party's got to be able to pull that together. The percentage of the electorate that's white or Anglo is going to decrease over time, and the percentage that from these other groups is going to increase. It's not just math, though. It's also a moral question for our party. Our party's message should appeal to all types of Americans, especially new Americans, people that are starting out in this country, people that are starting out on the economic ladder. Our solutions are the right solutions for them, but if we can't explain them, if we don't have the right policies that they can understand, and we don't even invite them to the table to talk about it, then we got problems. I don't think my party does that. I think there are voices within my party that unfortunately have advocated for things that have resulted in that, and I think we've got to turn that around.
Chuck, the Latino vote, winning the Latino vote, what's the key in terms of down the road?
I think making them feel included. I think that my brother's exactly right. You know, there was rhetoric on the campaign trail that was not the days of George Bush. I'm from Texas. I grew up in Texas. There's a reason why George Bush got 44% of the Latino vote. He didn't as much include them in, but he made them part of the conversation. In this primary process, every Republican tried their best to push them away from the process, and that's how you end up with 26, 27% of the Latino vote. As the country moves forward, that coalition will stay together. But now we will have to protect that coalition because the Republicans are very smart people. They know that there are certain things within the Latino community, from us being very avid churchgoers to being very conservative with some of our other financial values of we're going to have to fight for this vote to keep this vote. This is not going to be a vote that we just automatically get every time.
Let me tell you, he's exactly right. If you look at the exit polls, everyone in my party, at least there were a lot of voices that said, oh, it's immigration. And it is immigration. It's a large part of this because that's where respect will start. But there's all kinds of other issues, including on gay marriage and life and other social issues where Hispanics aren't going to necessarily all line up with kind of the more progressive side of politics, including there are a lot of small business people who care about taxes and such. So there are all kinds of issues that Hispanics as a group might disagree on, and nobody should assume that there are a reliable partner in some kind of left-wing coalition from here to eternity. I think we got a real chance with these voters. We've done it before. We've done it in all kinds of other races. We just got to do it at the national level.
Well, a lot of Republicans are still smarting after Election Day. It's probably a good time to be Marco Rubio or Susana Martinez. Not to say that that's the only reason they're there, but both very bright, articulate stars, up-and-coming stars of the Republican Party. And if the party has a Latino problem, it's good to be them and perhaps a solution at least.
It's also good to be a Latino consultant in Washington, D.C. and be Julian Castro or be, the mayor of L.A.
Sure.
Our demographic is going to continue to grow, but our demographic looks like my story. My great-grandfather was an illegal immigrant, as some people would say, come into this country. Now, I'm an entrepreneur. I own my own small business, but I went to work in a factory when I was 19 years old, and I've got to live the American dream. Sure. As more Latinos become more intricate into American society,